Strap yourself in and get ready. The leaders in BBL SuperCoach are incoming. Running in off the back fence to give you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up in the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight BBL Show with your hosts, Braino and Horse.
G'day, everybody. Welcome back to the Glenn Maxwell Appreciation Podcast, otherwise known as the Insight BBL Show. Horse, how's your round been, mate? How you doing?
Oh, it's been fucking fantastic. Thanks for asking.
I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, I pivoted very late and took the C off Jack Edwards and put it on Stoinis, and it has backfired terribly. But you know what? That's SuperCoach. We move on. We'll be bigger and better next round. How are you going?
Yeah, not too bad. As you would know, I'm a Glenn Maxwell owner, so I'm pretty happy about how he's going at the moment.
Yeah, I can see the desk slightly risen.
Yeah, there's a bit of an angle on my desk because it's just permanently like this. But I'm doing all right. I feel like I had a pretty good week, and I think tactically we still made the right moves for the most part throughout this week, and we'll talk about obviously a little bit of that very soon when we recap the week. But guys, we're ahead of round 7. We're one day away from round 7. We know BBL SuperCoach moves rapid. It moves very fast at this time of the year. We've got singles ahead of us and lots of decisions to make in the very near future. So we're here to give you all of the information you need to make the right choices to get your team set for round 7. But we'll also review round 6. And before we do any of that, please hit subscribe and like. It does help us get these episodes and the podcast out to a wider audience. We would appreciate that. And if you're listening on audio, please hit the review button. Mate, we've got about 3 rounds left of Patreon, which is probably about what we're close to, maybe 3-4 weeks. So people can pay for 1 month. They can get full access to us. The WhatsApp chat's popping off. We're doing Q&A for subscribers every single round. Buy, hold, sell. Also, you've put together some good articles on buy, hold, sell and captaincy and things like that. So if you want to get involved in the Patreon, it's not too late. You can still have a red hot run home if you're in your semi-final or you're looking good in the rankings, and this is how you become a member.
Want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level? Inside Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
Horse, what's on tonight's show, mate? Because these shows are going to start to get pretty tough to get through, considering we've got so many players available and so many options in terms of trades with players on singles.
Yeah, there's a fair bit to get through tonight, Braino. Latest news and injuries, there's a fair bit going on, namely one Josh Mudguts Brown with a crooked back. Quick recap of what we've learnt from round 6, preview each game of round 7, and unfortunately there is weather again that we need to concern ourselves with, so you're going to want to stick around for that. We're going to dive into some ownership and give you our opinions on players we think you need to target this coming round. New international players that will be joining us from round 7 onwards, our game day squad of the round, and also talking VC and C options, loophole options, and much, much more.
And I don't know whether you were watching my face, but Glenn Maxwell just hit a 6 to bring up his 50, and it was a top edge over fine league. So you know what? You take him when you can get him, and I feel like he's on tonight. And I'm not going to say, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to brag just for a little bit because I called it. I called it a day or two ago. I said as soon as he got snubbed from this test squad, he was going to pop off and he was going to send a message, and he's done that tonight. So let's see if he gets a bowl just to rub it in.
You guessed
Let's
it.
see. You seem stoked. Let's have a chat about the latest news across the league.
It's time for some news from around the league.
And the latest BBL SuperCoach news across the league is always brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. For those of you looking to get yourself into the home loan market, whether it's buy your first home, you want to upgrade, maybe you want to renovate, you want to free up some cash to do some stuff to your current place or get into your dream home, that's Ryan from Astute Newstead will help you out. Let him know we sent you by contacting him in the link below in the description of this video or podcast, wherever you listen. we've both worked with him personally, Ryan, and he is a super coacher as well. So you can have a chat and chew his ear off about how his super coach team's going. How my second team is going, considering all he does is message me asking me for trades and captains every single week because he doesn't know anything about cricket. So, it's good fun. But hit up Ryan from Astute Newstead. Very long-term supporter of the show and a good friend of ours. So definitely worth hitting him up. Mate, first thing we mentioned at Glenn Maxwell didn't get picked in the test squad. They've gone with Matty Kuhneman and Cooper Connolly by the looks of things as that kind of spin option along with Todd Murphy. So it looks like they're going younger.
Mm-hmm.
The question here is he out to prove the selectors wrong? I don't know whether we have to ask that question anymore from what we've seen.
No, it's a big yes. I think you'll find that he'll be flying for the rest of the year. My only concern is, does he get stuck batting at 6 now, given how well he's looked with the stick in the last couple of rounds?
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah.
But you know what, with the Stars lineup, he'll be in the 10th over anyway. So
yeah, there was 1 or 2 games where he obviously wasn't getting much of a look in, and but yeah, I think they're back to typical old Stars now, unfortunately. So but I mean, look, is he out to prove him wrong? Of course he will be. He'll be disappointed he didn't get picked, but in saying that, it's still the right move. I think Ricky Ponting said it well on the 7 coverage last night, saying that it would be a backward step picking 36-year-old Glenn Maxwell as opposed to going younger in a series that really, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't mean much because we've already qualified for the World Test Championship against New Zealand, I think it is, or South Africa, sorry. So, yeah, it doesn't really mean much. I think it's a bit of a tour to see who wants to put their hand up in the subcontinent. So,
that's right.
Congrats to Cooper Connolly and all those guys. We'll talk about them. But Paul Walter, so for anybody wanting to know what happened with Paul Walter, he was rested due to the shoulder issue where he fell on his shoulder in the field. I think you would have remembered the second last heat game. He took a bit of a tumble and had to roll his shoulder out a bit and looked a bit sore. So they've rested him for that, but the word is he should be fine to go for round 7. We mentioned Cooper Connolly and Matty Kuhneman, Horse, picked in the test squad with Webster and those kind of guys. How do you feel about how that test squad's been selected?
Don't mind it with an eye to the future, given that they're looking to go younger. Sammy Constance being the 19-year-old, then the next youngest being Webster, being 31 years of age. So I like it. It sucks for Maxwell, but we've got to start looking to the future, and the Ashes are only 6 tests away, so we're going to want to get some games into these guys. I anticipate they're going to do something similar. Do you remember when, I reckon it was Steve Smith and Cameron White were playing for the Aussies, and at around about the same time they were playing on the subcontinent? One batted at 7, one batted at 8. They both made some runs. They both had a bowl, and then one went on to bigger and better things. Cameron White went on to be a very good state cricketer here, and he's now the coach of the Renegades. Do you see something similar going on with Cooper Connolly?
Yeah, look, I mean, Cooper Connolly is one of those, and I said this in the WhatsApp chat for the subscribers earlier. He's a big game player. You know, like not many people have that big game stuff in them. You know, that kind of clutch gene, as they call it in other sports. Cooper Connolly has that. We saw what he did. I think it was 3 years ago, early in his BBL career in the final, where he basically put them on their back and the Scorchers won. Where he scored, I think, 40 off 20 rocks or something and got him home. In the Shield final, and not many people know this or pay attention to Shield cricket, but in the Shield final, he scored a really crucial 90 for WA. So this guy has that X factor, you know, about him, and I think he's going to be an incredibly good cricketer moving forward, and probably a big part of what we do in red and white ball cricket, I think, for Australia. So I'm happy for him. I think it's a good pick. Now, for anybody wondering what's going on with the current test squad and the Sri Lanka guys that have been picked with BBL, we've got Boland, Cummins, Hazelwood, Travis Head, Lyon, and Stark. Those 6 guys will not play any BBL cricket this year due to the fact that they're resting based on workloads that they're going to be coming into or coming out of. Now, we've got Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne. They're going to play 1 game in round 8 versus Perth, Horse. But how do you feel about this? Because it kind of annoys me. It feels like a bit of a waste with a team that really needs to win. And if they end up scraping into the finals, you've dropped 2 blokes for this random 1 game that they're now going to they're going to lose that chemistry that I think is really important.
Took the words out of my mouth. Don't like it. I would much rather, if they're going to play rounds 8 and 9, not just one off and that's it. So, yeah, not a fan of it at all.
No, neither. I'm with you. So Mitch Marsh, he did play round 6. Unfortunately, got a golden and didn't field and didn't bowl. So probably could be one of the coldest guys of the week. We'll talk about hot and cold guys soon. He will be back for the round 9 game as well. So Mitch Marsh hasn't been named in the Scorchers squad to play round 7 or round 8 on their kind of Sydney trip, we'll call it, over the next week or so as they play both the Thunder and the Sixers in Sydney. So Perth have named their 14-man squad to travel to Sydney for both of those games. And Mitch Marsh isn't in it. He's going to be spending some time with his family after also being left out of the Sri Lanka squad. So probably a bit of well-earned rest there for Mitch Marsh after a pretty hectic international schedule.
I think so, yeah. And a newborn at home, so congratulations to the big dog.
Who are the guys that are going to be playing all of the games for the rest of the season, Horse? Because these are the ones to pay attention to.
Yeah, and as we can see this evening, Sean Abbott, he's got 3 for in this game. Definitely one that we're going to want to target come round 7. We've also got Alex Carey. There's one eye for me on him. He's been one of the informed cricketers for Australia this year and does play T20 cricket really well. He'll go back to the strikers. I see him opening the batting there. He opened the batting in years gone by with Jake Weatherald and the likes. Really like his form on a flat Adelaide Oval deck. Could do some damage. We've also got Sammy Constas, the young gun, coming back. Jai Richardson and Bo Webster will play all the games until the end of the Supercoach season.
And Smudge, Steve Smith, is going to play 3 games from round 7 to 9. So he had a rest this week, and then he will play the last 3 games for the Sixers in the regular season. So super pod play in Steve Smith to round things out. There is the only concern for me is Sixers players coming into some weather in round 7. So that's one thing we'll talk about a little bit later. But that that very relevant news regardless. But Horse, we're saying goodbye to a few of the international players as well. So your boy Shafane Everston Rutherford, he's on his way out. Shai Hope, Lockie Ferguson, and Waqar Salam Keel, all on their way out. They're going to leave now for the ILT 20, I think it is, as far as I'm concerned. But that's right. The Thunder have already signed replacements, mate. Who have they got in?
George Carton is the replacement there. And then we've got a young lad by the name of Mohammed Hasnain, if that's how you say it. If it's not, I apologise. But my God, this guy is rapid.
Yeah, they're both bowl quick, as far as I'm aware. Hasnain and Garton, I think it is a typo from me. But George Garton played, I think, 6 games for the Strikers back in BBL 10 or 11, I think it was, from memory. So a few years back. But both bowl quick. So Hasnain, as far as I'm aware, has clocked 150 pretty comfortably early on in his career. He's only 24 years old as well. So there's a lot to like about this guy. And they've gone and replaced a number 6 bat that really didn't do much and nearly bowled the ball backwards and they've also replaced Lockie Ferguson, who bowls gas, with 2 guys that bowl really quick. And George Garton can definitely hit him as well. So he'll probably slot into that Shafane Rutherford role. The Thunder are looking pretty good here if they weren't so injury riddled.
It's a massive turn from last year. They keep losing people to injury and what have you, but they tend to find, or they're seeming to find a way to keep games competitive, aren't they? And probably the big surprise packet for me this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame that they didn't get 2 games this round. Otherwise, we might have seen more of these guys before they headed off. But that's unfortunately the way the cookie crumbled this round. But let's have a chat about what we learned from round 6, Horse. I'll tell you what, if you got caught short with the weather from Game 3 with the Sydney Thunder and the Hobart Hurricanes, you're probably thinking this could be Red Arrows week. But if you're ahead of the game and you took a bit of a punt on fading some of these Thunder players and structuring your side with your emergencies and your bench players with Hobart Hurricanes and Thunder players, you're probably in a decent spot.
That's right. Yep.
So I think, yes, weather is a pain in the ass, and yes, it does create an element of luck, but a lot of people saying BBL SuperCoach is full of luck. I think it's probably just poor management from a certain perspective, because you can find an advantage in the weather. And I think we've managed to do that this year and last year too.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is a little bit of luck. It's not all skill. But like we're talking about tonight, you saw Stoinis that he was bowled and the bail happened to stay on the stump. That sort of stuff happens from time to time. But when you're talking weather, he went out bloody cheaply anyway. But when we're talking weather, you can plan for that. And as you've said on and on, you've got to keep one eye on the weather forecast and have a backup plan. If you've got players involved in these games, emergency loop them. Have a backup plan so if they don't play, you're still getting scores on field.
Yeah, that's right. I did have to take Wes Agar's double points, but it was better than having to take Chris Jordan or Nikhil Chowdhury's 0. So,
right.
you put yourself in a position to maximize the amount of points on field. And there are some ways that you can get out of this week pretty unscathed, I guess. Mate, there's one more double left. And here, Deadly is spot on in the chat, as the great Damo SC would say, double game rounds are a scam. And Dennis here is saying what we learned, that weather is more relevant than double game weeks. And honestly, both of those points are pretty spot on. As an exaggeration that they're a scam, I think that they're definitely over-focused on.
Yeah.
Especially at this time of the year when we need to be getting the best players on field. These single one team on the double rounds are a little bit of a lure, aren't they? Because you can start to get players in you technically wouldn't pick to play on a single.
Massive lure, yep.
So do you reckon now is about the right time to just target best available moving forward?
That's the name of this podcast this week, Braino. We are targeting the best players moving forward.
Love it. Love it. So we'll give you our idea on our favorite picks, I guess you could say, for each team at the end there when we're talking trade targets. Your boy Aaron Hardy, mate, is it time?
As a loop option, yes, I wouldn't start him on field. He scored 34 off 34, but still didn't middle too much. He was an anchor in that innings. Ashton Agar made that wicket look a lot better than what it was, but yeah, I'm still not sold. But tell me when you've been able to buy Aaron Hardy at under 100K in BBL.
Oh, it's ludicrous, isn't it? I don't think you can. Back to his rookie year or something. I need to see him bowling before I would before I'd consider him. I think as great as he is with the bat in hand, he actually isn't looking that great this year. Like he's just not finding the middle of the bat. He looks a bit clunky. He doesn't have
Scratchy.
that. Yeah, he does. It looks like he's really having to work hard for his runs this year. So for me, I'd need to see a little bit more from him before I would buy him. I think there's some better options out there. Don't get lured in just because they've got bat bowl all-rounder in the game. In SuperCoach itself doesn't necessarily mean that their role is going to – Voges has said that he is pretty close to monitor that and right. Keep an eye out. And if we do get some news that he will be bowling, then that's probably when I'll jump on.
You know what, though? Matt Short's been pretty close to playing for 3 games. Tom Curran's been pretty close to coming back for the last couple of games. So, yeah, we've got to wait until get some more concrete information on whether he's going to bowl or not, as to whether we jump on him or whether we wait.
Yeah, spot on. Dan Christian, 83 SuperCoach points in 1 game. Outstanding. Yeah, I mean, from retiring to he's been smashing it for Union New South Wales and New South Wales Premier Cricket, Sydney Premier Cricket. But, regardless, to come back at this level and do what he did was very impressive. So, props to Dan Christian. If you bought him, even better. Congratulations. That's a masterstroke. Not really much else to mention. I mean, is he a purchase now? Do we look at Dan Christian as a buy? Because Daniel Sams should be he should be back soon. I would naturally think that Dan Christian might drop out when Sams is back.
I'd say Sams is still out for another 2 games if the 12-day concussion rule. So it might go through to round 8. So you might get 2 games out of him.
Okay, that could be enough. But again, are we targeting a guy that's super cheap at this point in time at the wrong time of the year?
If he's got a role, Braino, say he's going to be 75K-ish, 70K this week.
Yep.
Weather won't be an issue for their game, so that's a tick as well. And then does that allow you to get the coin to bring back in an Overton or a Matt Short? So it could be a play.
That's true. Yeah, I don't mind that. If it's freeing up cash, then it could be the go. But and there you go. Dennis has updated us in the chat. Sams can't play till round 9. So you're right. You've got round 7, 8 there, hopefully for Dan Christian, who looks like he's replaced Daniel Sams in that role. So, mate, every team in the competition is still in the running, which is pretty impressive as well. It's good to get to round 6 or 7 and everyone still has a shot. It keeps the BBL alive, and we've had some awesome cricket so far this year. So we can't be complaining at all about what's been served up.
There's been, apart from the early couple of rounds, there's been no blowouts. It's all been really close.
Yeah, and that's really surprising. Normally you find at this level you will get a few blowouts, especially with how poorly the Stars have been playing. But the Thunder have turned it on this year and they're playing pretty well. There's some really good teams out there that have really turned it on this year that have had poor previous years. And we've seen the Stars turn it around this year so far. They're going for 3 in a row tonight. So we'll see if they can. I think they just finished on 5 for 154 off their 20 overs. So that's pretty competitive on this pitch. Pitch seems a bit slow and a bit low. So Might be pretty tough to bat on second. We'll see.
Seems to be doing a bit back of a length, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The roll the fingers, slow ball, take the pace off the ball, middle of the wicket stuff is pretty tough to get away. So we'll see how the Sixers, the professional chasers, we'll call them, the Sixers, can end up getting 156 in the end. I'm a Sydney boy, so and I don't really even get offended when people rag on Sydney because the weather is just putrid every single summer. It's disappointing for one. But there's every chance we might see 2 Sydney games get washed out in the next week as well, isn't there? Because the forecast isn't looking great.
No, it's not. And if Sydney was anything like Victoria, namely Melbourne, and built a stadium with a roof over it, you wouldn't have this issue. So New South Wales, it's time to grow up. It's time to follow in your big brother's footsteps.
We need a roof. That's what we need.
Yep.
So let's see. We'll see if anyone's listening.
Absolutely.
But I doubt it. Let's have a chat about who's been hot and cold this week. We'll start with the hot guys, hey? This is why I'm hot. Now, I guess the first hot guy to mention is Maxi Bryant. Again, 2 times in a row, 2 weeks in a row, he's been the hot guy. 107 SuperCoach points for him. And he's been hitting the ball cleaner than nearly anybody in the competition the last 2 rounds.
He has made batting look incredibly easy, hasn't he?
Bit of what's his name from Hobart? Mitch Owen. Bit of Mitch Owen about him, isn't there? With just how cleanly he's been hitting the ball, and obviously he's half the size of Mitch Owen. So he's great. I mean, look, do you have the balls to buy him? I probably don't with the role. Batting 5 or 6 and not bowling isn't really for me at this time of the year. But super pod territory. Spencer Johnson, 81. I VC'd him this week. Very happy about that. I'm going to say he took some junk wickets. The one wicket I think that was a good wicket. Oh, no, sorry, he took 2 good wickets and 1 bit of junk at the end, where that reverse sweep full toss that he ended up hitting fucking the top of off pole.
That's right.
81 SuperCoach points though. Can't be upset with 81.
No, you can't. Take it every day.
What about Michael Neser? 68. Quality.
Yeah, good.
Nice little first game for him. And good in the field too, isn't he? I think he's one of those guys that will always be pretty reliable with bat, ball, and in the field, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just a really good cricketer. Really like watching him play cricket. 68. No, probably not an average. He'll probably, there'll be games where he goes 40, 50. There'll be games where he'll go 100. But you'll get consistency out of him.
Yeah, agreed. Lockie Ferguson, Dan Christian, David Warner are the top 3 scorers for the team on the double, the Sydney Thunder. All great. Very disappointed for the Thunder not to see these guys get another game. They would have been pushing up into the hundreds, I would naturally assume. Jason Berendorf, though, shout out to Deadly, his boy that he's signed onto a full season contract, as he does over there in a Deadly SuperCoach team. Right. Finished on 99 SuperCoach points. Again, he's probably been the form bowler in the competition, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is the best opening bowler in the competition, as witnessed or as we saw with that 2 for none, a double wicket maiden and 61-point SuperCoach over in that first over against the Renegades.
Oh, that was nice. If you're an owner, you'd be frothing, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Seeing the start of the game like that. Speaking of frothing, Ashton Agar's knock the other night for Perth was probably one of the better knocks that I've seen in the BBL this year so far. He just took control, didn't he? And correct me if I'm wrong, it was Zampa he took to a little bit there. Yep. But yeah, he was fantastic, wasn't he?
He was awesome. It's his first 50 since 2016 in the BBL competition.
Fuck. When you say 2016, you remember how long he's been around for a guy who's still relatively young, right? I think he's only early 30s. So he's played some cricket, Ashton Agar, in the BBL. So we've got a few years left of it yet, and he could be a smoky little pick. The only thing that's stopping me from buying Scorchers players in the next 2 rounds is the weather. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Again, another Perth guy, Jai Richardson. I bought him this week. Very happy about that purchase as well. But the man of the hour, the myth, the legend, Will Sutherland, the Chief. 166 points with bat, with ball in hand. He did everything. He stepped up when the Renegades were in some serious strife there. I think they were 4 for fuck all, really. It was like 4 for 10 or something. 4 for 10. Yep. So what did he finish with in the end? Because I think he, from memory, what did he get? Do you remember?
He got heaps. I think he got, was it 72?
70 runs. with a 20 strike rate bonus, so nearly max. I mean, look, you can't critique him. He also got 3 off the max strike rate. He got 15 economy rate bonus, bowled 11 dots in 24 balls. Like you can't critique that. 2 wickets, very economical, and put the team on his back. This whole win was centered around Will Sutherland, and another boy we'll mention is Tommy Rogers, Bucky Rogers, who hit 49 not and 2 wickets, 11 dots. That was one of the better lower order knocks we've seen, I think, this year.
Underrated with a stick, isn't he?
Yep. I reckon he's going to be a very, very big target for me this week. And unfortunately, I'm going to be paying up for him at 180K, but you could do much worse with the money, I think. Tom Rogers playing at Marvel this week on what's usually a Bunsen burner. So, it could be a nice spot to buy into some of these Renegades bowlers this week, I think, playing against the Stars.
That's right.
And the man I traded out, it's not all good over here at Brainball. The man I traded out, Adam Zampa, 87, made me pay. So
the man I was stuck with, you ripper.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. Again, that's a little bit of luck, but good fortune too, right?
Yeah,
like you sometimes get caught a little bit by not being able to make the trade you want to make because you're 4K short or something, and you have to stick with old Zampa who's been stinking it up all year, and then he repays you with an 87. That's the beauty of BBL SuperCoach. Let's move into who's cold, because there are unfortunately a few of them this week. Now, Mitch Marsh, Golden didn't field, didn't bowl, isn't playing the next 2 rounds. If you bought Mitch Marsh, that could not have been worse for you, and I feel for you, and I am sorry, because it could have been an amazing pod play, and it just didn't pan out.
The way he's been seeing them in the Test series, I'm probably not going to be popular in the community that bought him in, but you could see it coming. Like, he could not hit water out of a boat in the Test series, and to come back and expect him just to light it up. Like, the BBL competition isn't that much of a step down from Test cricket. You've still got some elite level bowling in our competition. So I think the rest will do him the world of good. The week away from the team will do him the world of good. We'll see him recharged when he comes back, and it's probably what he needs at the moment.
I think it is. I think he needs a break. That international schedule is incredibly tough, especially over a long period of time. He's been in the team for a good 4 or 5 years now. So, it'll do them a lot of good to have a break, recharge, reset, come back, and hopefully make his way back into the Test team. Laurie Evans also with a 0. I thought he would be looking forward to going back to Perth after spending a couple of years over in the Perth Scorchers, and he had his little stand there where they had their sign, the Laurie Evans fan club and everything like that, and unfortunately he scored a big fat donut. So that's a shame, but he's not the talking point, mate. Let me give you the talking point who scored 0 as well this week. Jake Fraser McGurk. There's a question in here somewhere, and I can't remember. I don't know whether I started. Here we go. From Mitchell Finch. How cheap does Jake Fraser McGurk have to get to become a buyer? Because he will come into round 7 at around the 58K mark.
Oh, my God. You still need to pay me. He's 58K because he's not scoring, ladies and gentlemen. Why are you going to buy someone that's not scoring? And on an absolute Bunsen burner, as you would call it, Braino, at Marvel Stadium, which is hard enough to bat on as it is. It's
going to be a tough game, I think, this week for batsmen in general. Your Stoinis and Maxwells might even have a harder time at Marvel, especially the top order. Jake Fraser McGurk's in the worst form ever, and has to play on probably the toughest pitch in Australia right now at Marvel. So, I'm still not touching him at 58K. There's a reason he's 58K, and I understand that you pick a guy on pedigree, you pick him on talent, but realistically what Jake Fraser McGurk has done has been have a really good IPL and have a reasonably good BBL. And then aside from that, every other tournament that he's played in for the last 18 months has been putrid. So, the saying of one hit wonder, I really hope it's not him, because he's got some serious talent, but at the moment he's yet to show us anything different other than that really big one IPL. So let's hope he proves us wrong and he has a really strong finish, because if you pick him up as a bit of a pod, it could be genius. For anybody sitting in 5,000th, or maybe you're sitting in 6th or 7th in your cash league and you've got to get up into the top 4 to make the semis, Jake Fraser McGurk could maybe be the guy that gets you there. But I think if your ranking's good or you're set in your top 4 in your cash comp, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. No, way too much risk. Yeah. John O'Wells did a hammy, so that's a 0 for him. It sounds like a pretty bad hammy as well. So unfortunately, I'd say his BBL's over. Jacob Bethel with a 3, whose role is looking fantastic and just really wasn't a nice road trip for him over to Perth, was it?
No, and didn't look likely with the stick this week either. Struggled getting bat on ball and, only the 3 runs. Didn't do much with the ball either. Cooper Conley, his first failure of the season, Braino.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of he was the most captain player in the top 1%, and he was only 10% captained. If that tells you what the spread was like this week, the VC was like 30% on Chris Green, and then the captaincy was all over the shop. Sutherland was only 4% captain in the top 1%. So that's all those 4% will be moving up this week. And then, if you captain Connolly, unfortunately, you're going to be seeing some red arrows, but I'm sure he'll bounce back.
If they get on this week.
If they get on. Yeah. Chris Green with a 10 as well on the double. Only played 1 game, of course. Very popular VC. The most popular VC this week. Unfortunate. And your boy, Jack got wood. Or Jack doesn't use his wood. What did he end up with? Jack
needs to get hit with a... No, I won't go into that. But anyway, he ended up on 2.
Okay.
He got bowled.
Yeah, no good. No good. Very cold.
So my loop option decided to play and somehow made it worse for me. But anyway,
rough.
We move on. It's SuperCoach, ladies and gentlemen. You live and you learn. And that was one pick that I made that I thought that something may come of it, and it didn't. So we move on.
That's it. Can't get them all right. Now, let's move on to have a chat about round 7, mate. That's why everyone's here. And as always, the game previews are brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly and, of course, conveniently. You can go to their website, standardsqueeze.com, and use the code IFS15 to get yourself 15% off everything on their website. I've got my little drink here and my 4-in-1, as you can see on the screen there. They've even done the logo for me, the old Melton Fantasy Sports.
Oh, you've got the old one.
Yeah, I've gone old school. You got their orange. Yeah, nice. Might have to get one of those orange ones, and you got the hat on as well. They've got heaps of merch. They've got the 4-in-1s, and they've got the combo packs as well that help you pour the perfect pour every single time. Perfect 30ml nip, so you know how much you've had, and it's also made of plastic so that you can't go and break a glass bottle full of grog and then have your weekend ruined without any piss. So IFS 15 is the code. Who's taking out the squeeze of the week this week, mate? Because they win themselves a prize, don't they?
Mate, we've got a bit going on here. So Nathan, coach of the Beers, with a score of 829, wins our squeeze of the week. So Nathan, if you're in the chat, mate, please DM us, get a hold of us so we can send you our prize pack. Thanks to the guys at the Standard Squeeze. But Braino, I want to bring up a team in our Insight League, Unlimited League. Coach William, coach of Warnja. He's currently sitting first overall with 3 rounds to go.
Ooh, okay. All right. It's Williams to lose from here, right? So we know how how all over the place BBL SuperCoach can be. Let's just hope that William has a little bit of luck on the run home and make some good decisions. But how cool would it be to have someone take it out?
It'd be awesome. We are the number 1 ranked league in BBL SuperCoach. We have 4 teams inside the top 10. We have 25 teams in that league inside the top 100. And believe it or not, we have 228 teams inside the top 1K.
Not bad, hey?
Very, very good.
Not bad. Well done to everybody who obviously watches this show, or you're in the Patreon, or you're in the Discord, or wherever it is that you consume our content. Good on you for being that competitive in a pretty competitive league. So congratulations. Chat about this week, mate, because there aren't any buys and everyone's on a single again. So another really tricky week to navigate.
It is.
The schedule was always front loaded. So now it really opens things up. So one thing to note, if you don't have a player as a DNP, the ideal DNP this weekend moving forward for the rest of the competition is Harry Menenti, bat bowl 39.5K Adelaide Strikers player. He won't play. I'd like to think he won't play. He's a fair way down the pecking order there at the Strikers, and also is the perfect loophole option because you can switch in between bat and bowl. So if you don't have a DNP, or you're stuck with Will Salzman, who the Thunder play the first game of the round for round 7, 8, and 9 until the competition ends. So you can't use him as a loophole option. Maybe what you could do if you have some freedom is you could do Will Salzman to Harry Menenti to open up those loophole emergency options for the run home. I mean, maybe I should ask you, Horse, how important do you think it would be now to make that trade and sacrifice getting another player in just so that you can have the loophole available?
I think it's super important. What more could you want than 2 cracks at the cherry, Braino? If you've got 2 players there, one playing early, one playing late, and you've got a loophole that you can move between bat and bowl, surely you'd want to have another look or have an extra look at a player. And, if they score 5 points, easy, loop your other player in. If he scores 40 or 50 points, boom, you've got your loop player there. Happy days, take your emergency score. I think it's extremely important.
Yeah, having that free hit is golden. A lot of people potentially like me played Finn Allen on field for the first 3 or 4 rounds and got all of his really shit scores. I only copped one of Finn Allen's bad scores out of the first 4 rounds because I looped him every single time. So that's how valuable it could be. That could be the difference between you being sitting in, 100th or sitting in 5,000th, really, when we're talking about BBL rankings. So it can definitely be the difference between whether you win your head-to-head or not. So, yeah, emergency loops are crucial. I think that trade, if you've got Salzman this week, I think a trade needs to be to go to Menenti so you can open that up. So let's rep in, mate. First game, Friday, 7:15. We've got the Thunder at the Hurricanes. Thank God they're not playing in Sydney, the Thunder. They can get a game in at Ninja Stadium. No rain, top of 28, so all looking good so far. What are you thinking? Because we've obviously got a bit of movement here with these international guys dropping out for the Thunder and the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes haven't announced their replacements just yet. It doesn't sound like they're going to use any. It just sounds like they're going to go into the well of the local Hurricanes squad. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, Hurricanes are in ripping form at the moment. I'm going to tip them to win this one. I'm going to give you a pod in this one. He is owned by a few people who started with him. But Mitch Owen, if you don't have him, he's played 3 times at Ninja Stadium this year, Braino. For score 151, 68, and 72, and you can still get him at 148K.
Pretty cheap, dual position as well, which is really nice. He's a pod for sure, and he actually has a really nice batting average at Ninja Stadium too. He's been quite good. So my concern is the role. And for me, at this time of the year, I want as many scoring opportunities as possible. So for me, him not bowling and just batting creates an element of risk I don't really want to tap into too much. I'm just going to try and avoid straight batsmen as much as I can for the rest of the tournament. But I can't argue the pick on form. He's been fantastic for the Canes. We talked about Dan Christian a little bit earlier. Anybody here you're looking at? Are you looking at emergency players here from this game in game 1?
Yeah, absolutely. So the likes of Chris Green or Wes Agar. Wes Agar might be a trade-out target for me this week. He's sort of done his dash over the last couple of games. But Chris Green for sure. He can be an emergency with both Chowdhury and Jordan sitting there as well in my bowling options. So we can see how that'll work out. And having Harry Menenti, I don't have him yet, but moving him into the squad for Will Salzman will enable me to have that free swing.
And the one thing we didn't mention about Harry Menenti is the reason we're picking him is because the strikers either play the last game of the round or the second or third game of the round. So you've got enough time there to move him around before your players lock. So that's why Will Salzman becomes useless to us now, because he locks out straight away as soon as the games start each round, and you can't use him as a loop. Now, Thunder and Hurricanes, I guess, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to you, Horse, because there is a bit of weather around for Saturday, 7:15 p.m. at the Scorchers at the Sixers at the SCG. Now, I think I'm going to take a bit of a punt on Thunder and Hurricanes on field this week for whoever I keep. And I'm going to emergency. I've only got Jack Edwards at the moment in my team from the Sixers, and I've got Jai Richardson and Finn Allen and Cooper Connolly. I'm probably going to move one of those guys on this week, and I'm going to use my emergency for the others. Just in case we don't get a game. What's this the weather looking like here at the moment?
Not looking great. So 5 to 10 mil expected. Rain in the morning and rain in the afternoon. I couldn't see far enough ahead as to how much it's going to rain during the evening, but Sydney's weather just looks ordinary all week here.
Fuck. Yeah, I mean, I live in Sydney. It's been pissing down pretty much on and off for the last 4 or 5 days. So, yeah, not good. So I would proceed with caution in this round, and I'd probably loop in or emergency my Scorchers and Sixers players wherever I can, so that I can minimise the risk of them copping a 0 and getting a washout. Obviously, it might hurt me a little bit if they end up playing and everything goes through fine. We are still at least tomorrow's Friday, so we're a couple of days out from this game. We know the weather can change within the minute. let alone within 2 days. So keep an eye out on the radar and the forecast, but that's probably the way I'll play it. They've got a couple of changes, though, the Scorchers. They've named their squad. We've got Marley Beardman coming in for his first game. We'll see if he gets named. I'm really excited for that. He's a serious talent.
He can bowl rapid and such a young guy. What plus 145?
Yep.
For a 21-year-old, he's going to be really exciting to watch. And just throw him in with the likes of Lance Morris, Behrendorff, Richardson. It's unreal, isn't it?
Oh, it's so good. It's going to be good to watch them blood a young guy. And, obviously Matt Kelly's been dropped here. He had a pretty ordinary finish to that last game, unfortunately. But, good to see Beardman get a crack. Does that mean potentially that they're going to rest a Behrendorff? I don't think they can afford to now. I've been saying it all year that he's the only quick that hasn't rested, but they haven't really been winning games as comprehensively as they have in the past. So I think they're probably going to need every bit of Behrendorff in their final games to make sure that they lock in a finals berth. So, and Matty Hurst comes back into the team here for Mitch Marsh, who's been left out to stay at home with his family for this road trip. Yeah. So, definitely one to watch there, guys. Keep an eye out for that weather in game 2 because there's every chance it's going to be hitting us hard, unfortunately. Yeah. That one's at 4:15, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's an early game because we've got a double header, Braino. We're back with some commentary on Saturday night.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We had fun last time. Unfortunately, we had to watch the collision between the Thunder players. And
that was terrible, wasn't it?
Put a bit of a damper on things. But, hopefully none of that. But it'll be good. Saturday, 8 p.m, we'll be hopping on and having a chat about the cricket again as we did last time. So if you missed it last time, hop on in Saturday, 8 o'clock. We'll just talk you through the game from a SuperCoach perspective and a bit of banter, a couple of beers as well.
Yeah.
Good weather, though, Horse, which is great. Let's guarantee this will go ahead.
Yep, 33. No chance of rain and a lot better than anything that Sydney has to offer this week. Predicted ins, mate. He's got to be back, doesn't he? Matt Short?
Yeah. I mean, but we just, we thought so last game. And he didn't return. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
I think that with the broken toe, that it was shit reporting by the Strikers medical team. It made sense that he had the 2 games off into the bye to maximise the time to allow his toe to recover as much as it can. Mm-hmm. I think he's more of a chance this week or this upcoming round.
Yep.
But a broken toe, if you've got Alex Carey coming back, I'm still not sold.
Who drops out for Carey? Because Carey should obviously come into this team, right? He's available. It would have to be, Ollie Pope's still around James for a couple more rounds? It has to be Baisley, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
if you've got him, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want to go the Harry Manenti option and Baisley gets dropped, there's your loop option right there.
Yeah. Hopefully Baisley doesn't get named and you're sweet. You don't have to buy Harry Manenti at all. Yeah. Keep an eye out for that for sure. What about Jamie Overton? He was one of the most sold this week because people were looking to move on and use his cash this round. Uh-huh. Do you get him back now that you've sold him? Do you think he's essential?
I think you have to. The role is the best in BBL. And the first 5 rounds, he was the number 1 BBL SuperCoach scorer. He was averaging mid-90s. Had a bit of a shitter the last 2 rounds leading into the bye. He got a bit angry, didn't he? Was thrown a bit off his game. Him and Finn Allen almost go on the Irish handshake. So, when you look at the class and type of cricketer that Jamie Overton is, he will bounce back. And I think he is a must-have for this round.
Okay, fair call. Look, he's been out. He's lost a little bit of that early BBL form, but the role is still ace. The question becomes, and I'm actually not 100% sure on this. I've been trying to find out, and I keep getting different reports from different people. Some people are saying that Jamie Overton's leaving after round 7, and some are saying he's leaving after round 8. Now, the news I trust more is that he will be around until round 8 and then leaves and misses only the final game for the Strikers. So at this stage, you'll get 2 more games from the Strikers. If we do get a report that he is leaving early for any reason, whatever that be, that changes things for me because I don't think I would get him out, then get him back in, then trade him out again in 3 weeks consecutive. So it all matters on how long he's going to be around. So I'm going to try and do a bit more digging and we'll see if we can get it up into Patreon or something to
Good idea.
Make sure everyone knows what's going on. But if he is available for 2 more weeks, he's going to be hard to leave out. And he also provides a really nice little stepping stone to Matt Short.
He does.
So you could do a Jamie Overton next week and into a Matt Short for the final 2 rounds of the competition.
Mm-hmm. Matt Short's break even. I might just check that because they do play the Brisbane Heat, who have perhaps one of the best bowling attacks in the competition. He's got a break even of 124 going up against Xavier Bartlett, Spencer Johnson, Michael Nessa. Like that's seriously tough batting right there.
So we're saying out of Overton and Short, if you have to pick one next week, it's going to be Overton?
It's going to be Overton, yes. Brisbane Heat's batting hasn't been great apart from Maxi Bryant, but then their bowling's, up there with Perth as the best in the comp. So, and also the Sixers. The Sixers are quite good with the ball too. So, I'd be choosing Overton this week.
Fair call. This game's going to be good to watch, I think, with the Heat and the Strikers. There's plenty of talent on show, and there's also plenty of SuperCoach relevance on show in this game. Adelaide Oval, often known as a pretty flat wicket. So it'll be interesting to see who we target from this game. But the good thing is we know this game goes ahead. So from a trade target perspective, I think we can confidently lean into both of these teams. Your Michael Neeses look pretty good at this point in time. Jamie Overton, Matt Short. Everybody moved off Thornton, and for the most part, Doggett last week. I held Doggett, so hopefully he does all right. But there should be some good options there next week. Trades are going to be very, very interesting to see the trends of. Now, let's chat Sunday, mate. The final game of the round. This round, is only 3 days long. So you've got to get in and out real quick. We've got the double header on Saturday into the Sunday night. The second part of the Melbourne derby. How's this one going to go? They got the roof shut, so no issues for weather. How do you see this going?
Yeah, I think it's going to be close again. I think it's going to be a bowler's wicket, and I reckon anything over 150 wins the game if you're batting first. So for me, you're looking at your Sutherlands, your Rogers, and then for the Stars, we'll see who they're bowling tonight, or we'll see who they name because their bowling is just absolutely over the place. If Webster bowls tonight, then you can comfortably say that if he's batting and bowling, he's a definite look in for next week. Yep,
100% he is. I bowlers in this match just due to the fact and I can't see Marvel such a short period of time to be drastically better than whatever they've dished up so far. We've seen the 2 pitches so far have been really ordinary, and I think we can expect something slow, something low, something poppy, very inconsistent bounce. So we've just seen Josh Philippe get bowled by the bowling machine as well. So, tough out there for Philippe. Because this one, there's a lot of talking points, though, in this one, mate. What's happening with Tom Curran, because we thought he was going to be back after 2 games and then he's missed 4 now. So does he play in this one, you reckon?
I don't know. I'd love to say with confidence, but we've seen how bad the injury reporting has been this year. So we're just going to have to wait and see with what squad they come up with and then be able to make up our minds from there. Of course, if he misses, Dan Lawrence stays around again for another game.
Yep.
But Mudguts had a bad wrist last week, so he missed, or last round. What's it going to take for him to get back into the side this week, Braino?
I don't know. What do you reckon? Box of Carlton Dry. Should sort him out, I reckon.
Upsized.
Yep. What is it? Because I haven't heard that. I haven't heard the Zinger box upsized with I haven't heard you say it yet at all this season, but it used to be a staple of the AFL show, and I'm disappointed you haven't brought it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I actually haven't had KFC this year yet, and it's killing me.
Lucky we're only
my Zinger box upsized, get rid of the potato and gravy, add the dinner roll, you get your Pepsi Max, and then you just add a little pepper mayo slider on the side. Oh, delicious. And that's what it'll cost you for the year in the Discord, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's back.
It's back.
No, I'm a supercharged slider kind of guy. I'm a bit more spicy than the pepper mayo. So
yeah, okay.
Speaking of KFC, I had that today actually. I did have some KFC today. Oh, fucking outstanding. Zinger box. Didn't change anything out. Just standard Zinger box because my son loves KFC chips. So I said, Here you go, young fella. You have those chips, and then Daddy will have the rest. So everyone was happy. Everyone was looked
such
after.
a good bloke.
I know. I'm a great bloke. But anyway, back to the game. Josh Mudguts Brown will be happy with his Carlton Dry and his Zinger box. But aside from that, look, we talked about Jake Fraser McGurk early. There's questions now around, we know Webster's going to be around now until the end of the BBL.
Yeah.
Does he bowl, though? Because we're obviously yet to see him bowling over tonight. That's going to be what I'll be watching because he could genuinely become a decent option next
Mate,
round, knowing they're playing against the Renegades.
He's only 129K at the moment.
It's very cheap.
That's
I have
very
too
cheap
many
for him.
stars as it is. So I'm a little bit worried about my stars quota right now, considering I don't trust them. But Curran and Webster next week could be two really prime targets for me.
Yep.
Bit riskier, but we'll see. Benny's new cameras, upsize Zinger stacker box with the wicked wings. Oh, a meal that makes you hate yourself after you eat it. Yeah, that would go straight through you as quick as you've eaten it too, I reckon, Benny.
Maybe Saturday night for the commentary, I might have it sitting off to the side.
Yeah, finger licking chicken.
Benny. Yeah.
I love it. We saw Glenn Maxwell's role tonight. That's the big question on everyone's mind, isn't it? Like, what are they doing with Maxwell? It looks like they've leaned into him batting 6, doesn't it?
He's the finisher. Yeah.
The finisher luckily had to come in at over 9 or something like that today. And that's the risk because the Stars are so ordinary that, you know, when you've got Harper and opening the batting and, you know, a few guys out of form, Lawrence will disappear soon, which means Maxi might slide up one. There's every chance I think that Glenn Maxwell could slide up and down based on the need and what's happening. Stoinis is bowling, by the way, for anybody interested. That's Glenn Maxwell not bowling, though. Obviously, that's a deterrent for most people. But if you're an owner, moved him on yet? I do have
who's that?
In
Sorry,
the background. Sorry about that. If you're an owner of Glenn Maxwell, is it enough? Have you seen enough tonight to not roll shit that he's not bowling?
Yep, I'm keeping him. I'm not getting rid of him. If you've got him, you've just seen he's been left out of the Australian squad. He's looking to get back at Cricket Australia in the selection, and tonight was a perfect example. Just came out and blitzed it to all parts of the G. Next week, though, at Marvel, it's not a batter's surface. So, yeah, I'd be holding him, but I wouldn't be bringing him in.
Yeah, that's fair enough. For everybody listening, by the way, I've got crickets right above me in the roof of the extension of my house from where I do my podcast. So bear with me. Apologies. But it adds a bit of, a bit of something different. I'm just keeping Maxi. I think it's just easy to keep Maxi for the upside that we saw tonight, and that's simple.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have him, and they've gone away, if no buying him now off the back of what you've seen tonight, because it looks like his price will probably bottom out where it's at right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
So do you buy him at 160K or 170K?
He's a match winner, isn't he? And he's probably the X factor that you need to win your competitions. So, yes, I'm going to say yes, he is.
Okay. You heard it here first. Horse reckons buy Glenn Maxwell. I can't disagree with it. I think he can win your Supercoach. He's the kind of guy that can come out and just go 300s in a row and catapult you into first position and win your cash league. Yep. So, yeah, definitely a guy you want. Mate, that is the preview for the round ahead. Let's have a chat about trade targets for round 7.
Targets acquired.
Let's talk about the well-owned guys from each team first. Strikers, Jamie Overton, 41% owned, Matt Short, 30% owned. They're the two guys that you want in your team. Is there anybody else from the strikers that you're looking at this current week?
Alex Carey.
Okay.
Yep.
I like it.
Left field, but he's been one of the most informed Australian batsmen this year. He is 167K, though, so you will have to pay up for him.
Yeah, that's kind of expensive, isn't it? He's the most expensive wicketkeeper to start the season based on last year. Yep. So, yeah, that's a bit risky for me, a bit too spicy. Just knowing who can get a good rock, but he has been in good form. So I've been burnt by getting guys like Warner, Labuschagne, Khawaja off the back of last year and the year before them being poor. So I don't know whether I can go there again, but if you got the balls on you got bigger balls than me, could pay off. Perth, Sixers and Thunder. Honestly, I'd probably be doing my best to avoid bringing in any of these players just due to the fact that the rain is threatening their next 2 games. We've already got a ton of Thunder players anyway. We're probably going to need to get off guys like Wes Agar. If you've got David Warner, maybe you hold him another week and use him as an emergency if you're not worried about the weather. But for me, I'm probably holding off bringing in Sixers and Perth players because of the rain this week. And then the Thunder and Perth for the rain a couple of days later It really doesn't look good, like we mentioned. So I'd be avoiding those teams as trades. But Renegades are an interesting one, mate. Your boys. Who are you looking at the Renegades this week?
Tommy Rogers. The Tommy Rogers from the Renegades, not the Stars one, because he is so far out of form. He makes Colin Munro look good. But 17.9% he is owned, and bowls with a new ball, bowls surge, bowls death. What more could you want?
And can hold the stick, as we saw the other night. So, you can't argue against that. 17.9% owned Tommy Rogers. Look, I don't know whether I'd go with any of the other quicks from the Gades. I think it's the Chief. I think it's Tommy Rogers. Gurinder Sandhu doesn't really do it for me this year. I don't really trust that role. Fergus O'Neill's floating around, so I feel like out of them two, they might do a bit of swapping over the final 3 rounds. And I'm not touching batsmen for the Renegades, at least for this round. So I think they're probably your picks. Stars, we talked about Glenn Maxwell being a buy. Anybody else? Tommy Curran potentially could be a buy if he's fit.
Bo Webster. Yep.
And Bo Webster. They're the 3 I'd probably look at. What about the Brisbane Heat, mate?
Yeah, there's a couple here. One I'm going to bring up in the pods of the week next week because he's under 10% owned. But your 2 from the Heat are Spencer Johnson and Xavier Bartlett. Spencer Johnson looks really nice, left arm. Really does give the batsman headaches. And Xavier Bartlett, one of the most informed bowlers in the competition as well.
Yep, love it. You can't really go wrong with picking any of the bowlers from the Heat with that bowling lineup. I'd avoid Kuhneman and Swepson, of course. But, Johnson, Nisa, and Bartlett are your 3 go-to guys there. If Paul Walter comes back in, you're still avoiding him?
Yeah, not liking it this year.
Fair call. He hasn't really come to – that's second-year syndrome, really, for tall Paul. Hopefully he comes back next year. And the Hurricanes, mate, Benny McDermott seems to be the most owned Hurricanes player at the moment, 13.7%.
Yeah, I really like him. I think he could be a big point of difference at the back end of the year, Braino. Just getting in to have a look at his stats at what he scored this year. Down at Ninja Stadium, 15, 44 and 17. So not great down there. It's probably been buffeted a little bit by the 103 he scored at Adelaide Oval in round 3. So if you take that out, he's only averaging about only 25 for the year. Yeah.
So we're getting kind of cheap, right? He's that upside pick, isn't he? The guy that can explode and can pop off. So coming into a double, don't mind going early if you really want to get off the Sammy Harper fucking train of nightmares. I can't argue with anybody trying to find a solution to get away from Sammy Harper. So if Ben McDermott's that guy, full credit here. Go for it.
I would nearly just play with one less on the field.
Honestly, I think wicketkeeper is a fade at this point if you've got Harper. You just plug Harper in and hope for the best. Yeah. What about the pods, mate? Pods of the week, we're looking at players around that 10% or under mark. So we've got a few here. We've got about 10.
Yep, we do. So Dan Christian, his ownership numbers aren't actually on the app. So we can't be too accurate with what's going on there. But he is going to go up around 10 to 12K, I believe. So he'll be around that 70K mark for next round. But Michael Nessa at only 8%, Braino. That's a nice little pod pick there.
Yeah, I'm glad I went early. I think people are going to be jumping on this week, and I don't blame them. The role's pretty good. I think he should bat 7. He bowled the first over of the innings. They love him with the new ball. Shapes the ball beautifully. They trust him in the power surge, and they also use him at the death. But predominantly, they're going to be using Bartlett and Johnson at the death. So I think Nisa's going to get through those overs through the middle and get them done pretty early when the ball's swinging. So I don't mind that role. He just won't pick up as much junk. Nessa is that guy they rely on to get the breakthrough wicket, don't they? He's the guy they go to. They throw him the ball and they say, mate, we're in a bit of trouble here. I need you to get us a... And more often than not, he does.
Yep, Webster's bowling as we speak too. So
there you go. So a bit of everything tonight from the Stars. Can't really take much from that at all.
Maxi Bryant, mate, 4.6%. He has looked really good over the last couple of weeks, but as a bat-only option that bats at 5, probably too much risk there for me. Number 4, though, Sab, Sean Abbott, we saw tonight, 3 wickets. What's he on already? About 80?
94.
94, there you go. Won't be a pod next week. People will be, if they're playing, we'll be rushing to get him.
He's got a break even of 47 and he's on 94 at the moment, 138K. So I think we can be around the 150 mark or just under.
About that. Yep.
Which is still a really nice price to get Sean Abbott at, considering he's a premium of years gone by. So definitely one of the top guys on my list this week. Ashton Agar, bit of a left field pod. Don't hate it. Don't love it. 5.6. The role is fine. Batting at 7, bowling his overs. I don't see Cooper Connolly bowling too many. The only reason why Cooper Connolly bowled more overs or ahead of Agar the other night was because apparently Agar was a bit crook.
He was crook,
Yeah, so they said in the commentary he was feeling a bit off as the reason why he didn't bowl all of those overs. Probably after that really big knock because he was sucking in the big ones, wasn't he, when he was batting?
Yeah, wasn't he? Yeah.
So that might have something to do with it. But yeah, not a bad pod. Lance Morris, also fantastic pod, 4.8%. Now, these guys, remember, might be coming into some rain, so just proceed with caution on your Perth players. But if we look like we're getting a game, it's nearly impossible to argue against any of their bowlers at this point.
Yeah, that's right, mate. If you are looking to upgrade your wicketkeeper spot from Sammy Harper, I don't hate Tommy Allsop at 1.1% owned.
Okay.
You've got sell you. All right, so your 3 quicks, they are for the Brisbane Heat, Johnson, Bartlett, Nessa. Both move the ball around a lot. Both move the ball off the deck a bit. So you could nearly say 1 to 2 catches a game. What do you score this week with the stick?
From memory, not
much. So he scored 39 this week.
Okay. And 3 catches, right? So 9 points with the stick.
Yep. All right. We've seen Englishmen take 1 week, sometimes maybe 2, to get themselves acclimatised to Australian conditions before your likes of Bethel, Duckett, these sorts of guys went off. Dan Lawrence went off from the start. I think it's not a bad play if you're looking for a cheaper wicketkeeper option if you're still looking to play someone in that hole and not fade it.
Okay, fair call. Jai Richardson, if you don't own him, serious consideration pending weather. Tom Curran, also not a bad option, especially playing at Marvel. Guaranteed the game will go ahead. No issues of weather because the roof will be closed. Playing against the Renegades who have been hot and cold with the bat and has a nice role. So just as long as the calf's good to go and we don't get another niggle and he redoes it, I don't mind him for the last 2 rounds as a bit of a pod. Bo Webster add to that list as well. And my last one is Riley Meredith, only 10.6% owned. Coming into a double, you can get ahead of the game a little bit. People are going to want Nathan Ellis. People are going to want Chris Jordan, Nikhil Chowdhury, Ben McDermott. They're probably going to be the 4. Riley Meredith is going to be the one that goes forgotten, I think, ahead of this double. And if you get him this round, I feel pretty good about the fact he's playing against the Thunder. He's been quality and he's been bowling quick. So for me, he's a very left field pod that I really like.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the Game Day Squad of the week, brought to you by Game Day Squad. For those of you that haven't downloaded the app yet, you still can, and you can still play and you can still win. It is free to play, which is the best part about Game Day Squad. You don't have to spend a cent to get involved. You can build a team. You can purchase and trade cards if you are competitive, or if you're a gambler, you can rip open some packs and level up your squad and win every week, not just overall. There's up to $25,000 in prizes available each and every season with Game Day Squad. So download the app today, use the code IFSAUS, get yourself a bonus 3-player rare pack thanks to the guys at Game Day Squad. We've got a Game Day Squad of the week, don't we? So who are we backing in this week in our Game Day Squad?
Ben McDermott, early on. He's my keeper this week. So ladies and gentlemen at home, I've created this team this week because I feel bloody good about it. I reckon Benny McDermott this week, let's see some runs, big dog. Against the Thunder at Ninja Stadium, normally pretty good batting wicket. Let's see you pop off, son.
Are you hoping Wes Agar bowls to him?
I hope so.
Be nice if he keeps his spot.
I need 4 batsmen, don't I? I've only got 3 here.
No, you need 3. You need
only need 3. All right, so I'm good. You know what? The man, the myth, the legend, the 19-year-old superstar that debuted for the Australian Test squad not long ago, Sam Constas. Let's back him in to come back to the BBL and just go bananas. Left field option, Mitch Owen. I think down at Ninja Stadium, he's got an unbelievable record down there this year. I think he's going to pop off again. And if they play, James Vince. Last time we backed him in our Game Day Squad of the week, he went ahead and scored 100. So let's do that again.
I like it.
All-rounders positions, Braino. I'll let you go with them.
Yeah, so we've got Marcus Stoinis. Hopefully he finds his role. He's got his bad score out of the way for the BBL. So we're coming in off the back of a bad score. We know he's going to go good this week. Jamie Overton pick, I think, at this point in time. The Chief, Will Sutherland, we're backing him in to go back-to-back big scores this week. And our boy, Horse's boy, Jack Edwards. He is the 4th all-rounder in our game day squad. Now, our bowlers, we picked 3 bowlers. We've got Michael Nessa. We've got Jason Berendorf, who's been the form quick in the competition this year. And we've got our boy Riley Meredith there as a bit of a left field pick too. So every team is on the single, but just remember with game day squad, it doesn't matter if they're on a single or a double. Their top score will be taken and added to your squad, not a cumulative total. So you can definitely go a little bit more left field with game day squad, knowing you don't have to target a heap of double game week players. Feels like a pretty good squad. I like it.
I think so. Let's do it.
And there's 3 more rounds left of game day squad mini league for Insight Fantasy Sports, and you can win. So you can jump on in there. The link is in our Patreon. Let's have a chat about captains and emergency loopholes before we wrap this one up, mate.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
Bit of SpongeBob for you to wrap things up. Let's talk VCs, mate. Target the first game, you reckon? There's rain around for the second game. You want to make sure you lock in your loophole early, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Spot on.
Who are we looking at from the Thunder or the Hurricanes, mate? I don't mind CJ, Chris Jordan.
Chris Jordan. Yeah. Or you know what? He's not going to shit it up 2 weeks in a row. Chris Green.
Yeah, so we're backing in the Chris's this week for the VC.
Yep.
I don't mind that. Surely one of them will go okay. Depending on obviously who you own from these teams as well. I'd be inclined. I don't really mind taking on a batsman only if you've got a Warner and you want to chuck the VC on Warner at Ninja Stadium if they bat first. I don't hate that. The wicket's always good there. So, don't mind it. Mitch Owen, if you're feeling a bit spicy and want to make up some ground too, could be a play. But I think the VC in the first game needs to happen with the pending weather for game 2. Now, obviously, we're not going to be captaining anyone in this game. A bit too much risk in case we get 5 overs and get a washout. But the Chief in the last game against the Stars at Marvel, I can't really fault that. I think he will be the most captain player this week. Next round, I should say, round 7. Tommy Rogers, I also kind of like because he always bowls well at Marvel. I think he has a 60-plus SuperCoach average from memory at Marvel Stadium for the Renegades.
I'll look at it as you speak, mate.
Yeah, so you won't see it in the SuperCoach app from memory because it'll total his scores when he was at the Canes, I think, and the Thunder as well back in the day. But for the Renegades, since playing at Marvel, I think he's got a 60-plus average from memory. So
this year he scored 64 and 111 playing at Marvel Stadium.
There you go. Deadly said 66 at Marvel, 57 playing against the Stars. We always love Deadly for his stats. So there you go. Can't argue against that. I like those two. And, I mean, would you be tempted potentially to take on a Stars player like a Maxi? Just again, do you reckon he can go double back-to-back?
Yeah, I think he's more Bo Webster, I think, especially with the way that wicket plays to medium paces to quicks. I think spin is a bit of a cop-out. That used to be a spinner's wicket, but this year it's been more conducive to pace bowling, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I genuinely think that Bo Webster's bowling very much like Chief at the Marvel. They roll their fingers on a lot of stuff. They're very nifty and tricky. They're not the quickest of bowlers, but they're very good from a line and length perspective, and they do a fair bit with the ball. So I think they're the 2 picks that I'd be looking at the back end in the last game as a captaincy option to hopefully set you up for the final 2 rounds. Dennis is asking, do we take on Overton versus the Brisbane Heat in Adelaide? Look, I also don't mind that option.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to pick anyone, it has to be Overton.
Their batting hasn't been great. It's their bowling that I really hate. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like betting against the Heat batsmen. You know, especially with how Colin Munro's been struggling. They just really haven't got going, have they, this tournament? So depending on what happens in this game, whether the strikers bat first or bowl first, I could be swayed either way. But yeah, Overton's pretty confident. Pretty confident he'll do okay, but I reckon the play is to target the last game of the round personally. Melbourne Derby. Mate, that will just about do us, hey? Do you have any final words before we wrap this one up?
No, not really, mate. Thank you to the community for getting behind us. We appreciate the love and support that you give us. It helps drive Braino and I to bring out the absolute best in what we've got to offer for you guys. And we'll try our best to continue to bring the best form of BBL SuperCoach content to you guys at home. We've got 3 rounds left. And here's hoping one of our guys in our Unlimited League wins a lot.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That would be awesome if someone can take it home. We've already had a winner of the week. Now let's get the overall winner from the Insight community. Now, guys, don't forget, please hit subscribe and like if you haven't yet. Follow, review. Become a Patreon member if you want access to our in-depth buy, hold, and sell articles, captain articles, and to ask your questions and get them answered every single round. You can do that becoming a Patreon member. Link is in the description below. We'll see you next time in about 3 days to have a look back at round 7, hopefully fondly, and talk about round 8. We'll catch you then. Good luck this week.